Welcome back everyone. In this lesson we are going to talk a bit about timeouts. If you remember the auto-waiting lesson that we had in the beginning of this course, we discussed there that each action performed on a locator will wait at most 30 seconds. So I told you then that there is a way you can increase that timeout. So let's navigate to a page object, look for an action such as check, for example. And if we go to the implementation, we see that check has two implementations, and one of them can retrieve this check, can get this check option argument where you can set a timeout like so. And it says over here that this defaults to 40 seconds, but you can change the default value either by setting a set default timeout on the browser context or on the page. So this is the first timeout that we are going to take into consideration. And let's say that you have an application that is slower than most applications, and the 40 seconds timeout is not good enough for you. So each time you perform a fill, a click, or a check, you need more than 40 seconds. In order to increase that timeout, you need to go to the Playwright runner, and we can either do it by using the browser context and invoking set default timeout. And here, let's say I'm going to pass, instead of 40 seconds, I'm going to pass 40 seconds. Okay? Another way you can do it is by using the page. So after you created a page, you can set the default timeout also over here. And if you check the documentation, it will specify that one takes precedence over the other. So for set default timeout, set default navigation timeout will take priority over set default timeout, for example. And if we go to set default timeout for browser context, it says here that the page set default takes precedence over the browser context set default timeout. But in most cases, this will be enough for you. So there is also a default navigation timeout, and this refers to actions that relate to navigation, such as going back, going forward, load, stuff like that. So if you need to increase that, you can again either use the browser context and set the default navigation timeout. In most cases, just setting the default timeout should be enough, like this. And this should solve most of your problems. If you have a point in your application where, let's say, this check over here takes a lot of time, takes more than the 40 seconds that was set as a default timeout, you can use the check options. So each type of action has a different object that you can pass to it. And here you can instantiate this and set the timeout specifically for this action. Let's say I wanted 70 seconds for this one. Okay. Another timeout that we've encountered is related to assertions. So if you remember, when we do an assertion, like we are trying to check if this locator is enabled, it will wait at most 5 seconds, which is not enough in most cases. And the way you can go over this and change it is use again as these enabled options and set a timeout, similar to what we did on the check action. Now, unfortunately, in Java, you cannot set a global assertion timeout. You cannot increase that 5 seconds globally like we did for the actions timeout. And we can do for the navigation timeout. This feature is available in the Node.js library of Playwright, but as of now, it's not available in the different language bindings that Playwright offers. So Java, Python, you don't have this functionality. I did saw some chatter on GitHub, and someone tried to implement this feature, so maybe it will be available in the near future. But as of now, you don't have any way to set it globally, this assertion timeout. Okay guys, this was all for this lesson.